Hello, Mayor.
You there, Ed?
I'm here.
Okay, can you hear Kevin? Can you hear me? Hello, Mayor. You there, Ed? I'm here. Okay.
I am, sir.
Kevin, can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you now. Hey, Jay.
Hello, Mayor. How's Kevin? Hello, Ed? I'm
I'm driving back from Buffalo. I had a lead certification.
Hey, I can hear you now. I'm getting a feedback. I don't know why here. How's Kevin? Hello?
Hey,
I'm driving back from Buffalo. I had a lead certification. Hey, I can hear you now. I'm getting a feedback. I don't know why here.
yeah, I'm hearing you about 2 minutes afterwards.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Hearing you about 2 minutes afterwards. Can you hear me all right? Hearing you about 2 minutes. All right,
Maybe it's my headset.
we gotta get this
It's too loud, that's why.
too loud.
Yeah, you have your audio too loud, there's feeding back in their microphone.
Where's my audio at?
Here's a full screen.
All right, maybe it's my
Yeah, here.
headset. We gotta get this
Turn that down, you got it's way too loud. That's probably too loud.
like
That's
they're
what
hearing like a minute or two after I start talking. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
I know why, hold on.
I can hear you, Mayor.
Okay.
Hold on, I know why. Just give me a minute. Here we go. That should be better.
Okay. Can everybody, are we on, can you hear me as I'm talking now?
I can hear you.
Yes.
We're good.
Kevin, say something.
Mine seems to come through about 3 seconds or 4 seconds behind.
Okay. Ed, are you getting it right now?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Kevin, I can hear you. So,
Good deal. We're getting there.
all right. What are you eating?
Carrots.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be downstairs, man.
All right. Thanks, Jason. All right. We're, okay. There's only 3 of us in right now. And, hopefully we'll get this going good here in a few minutes. So,
I'm probably
You're
going to lose
teaching-
you guys about Ishaway.
yeah, you will. You'll lose us in through there for a while. So, all
You're
right.
teaching me something tonight, my first Zoom.
Who's that in the van with you, Kevin? There's a head that keeps popping up behind you.
Oh, that's your favorite mask that I wear.
Okay. All right. Okay. Has to unmute. Okay. All right, we're gonna all learn this together, so.
Good deal.
Just another podcast. I don't have too much background noise, do I?
Oh.
No, you're
nothing
good.
at all.
Awesome. I got this fancy mic, and I was actually mowing a lawn for the county over the summer, and Matt Keller called me on it, and I couldn't believe that he couldn't even hear that I was mowing a lawn. He was just trying to figure out why I was yelling at him.
Okay.
I think they got it. The mayor's was just too loud on his end.
Yeah, it was too loud and there's something else Jason had to do. He
Okay.
comes in here and pushes buttons and stuff and takes care of stuff, so. He goes too fast. I don't know what he's doing, so.
That's why he keeps in a job.
Tiffany's in the room now, so.
Hi, Tiff.
Did Jason figure out if we're going to be recording this meeting tonight?
Yes, I've got to push the record button here. As soon as, where is it? We're on YouTube Live right now. And then I gotta hit record when we start the meeting,
Sweet.
Okay.
okay?
YouTube Live.
YouTube Live, yep.
You gotta feel like a movie star.
They're putting out the link now, I guess, as we speak. They're putting it out on the city website and stuff, so.
Good.
Hey, Ed, your granddaughters came through Saturday over at the candy drop.
Yeah, I knew they were going to.
Yeah, and they're looking at me. They said, "Are you Stella's grandpa?" I said, "Yeah, yep, I'm Stella's grandpa."
That's funny.
Yeah.
Those girls love each other.
Oh my goodness, that's great. We had 27,000 pieces of candy, and
Bill counted each and every one.
I did, and I didn't want to make sure I counted the bag that said 250, and there was only 249 in there, so I took it back. So. But I guesstimate we had near probably right around 500 cars that came through there. So
That was crazy for a while. I noticed that.
it was.
Worked out well.
Yes, it did.
The credit union worked out too.
Yeah, they did. That was down to the YMCA, you mean, where they put it?
Yeah,
on?
the YMCA, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the ladder truck down there.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool for kids.
Yeah. The only one that was holding things up was Terry Gaylor over on ours. He kept going all over to every car, so.
Yeah, between Terry and the mayor.
That boy ain't right.
What time is it? Are we ready to go? Oh, 5:16. So we're everybody can let's see, participants. 2 people have entered the waiting room. So let's see who's entered the waiting room. Jason Panis, we just admitted him, and Paul. We just admitted Paul. So
Both of them deserve to be admitted.
and admitted, Kevin, not committed.
Oh,
So we should have, Paul, you hear us? You might
You
be
got it.
muted on your end, Paul.
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yep, hear you now. Jason? Oh, it's connecting to audio, okay.
I hope Jason has video as well. Look at that lovely kitchen that Ed Jennings has. Just delightful.
Well, thank you.
Kevin's driving, so.
Well, I would expect no less.
Who else we got? Okay, Vern is coming in now. Vern should be in. There he is. Vern, you got audio? Can you hear us?
he prefers Vernon.
Okay, turn your yeah, there you go. Okay.
Hi, Vernon.
How's it going?
There's Jason
thank you.
Dennis. Jason, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here now. I had
Okay,
to, first time I've done this on my phone, I had to install some things.
Well, there's
okay,
Jason.
we got you. Let's see who else is, okay, there's nobody yet. There's nobody else in the waiting room yet, so.
So are we live via YouTube right now? I see I'm up in the corner there.
YouTube is going. As soon as we go the meeting, I will start to record it. And for this Zoom session, we'll record that.
Okay.
And yeah, they sent out the what is it? The stuff so that people can get on the YouTube and watch it.
Gotcha. There you go, Kev.
What is yours? Catch 22?
Live 22, because
Oh,
live
live.
is a catch
We're going to
22.
go live 23. We want to be one better than you, so.
Kevin's a catch 22.
Yep. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So I might pop back up in your waiting room, though, as soon as I hit Ishiway and I get that dead zone. I'm going to
Okay.
disappear, and then I'll probably be back
Yeah,
in the
you-
waiting room.
Where are you driving right now, Kevin?
Back from Buffalo.
Oh,
So
Okay.
by the time the meeting starts, I'll be in Cat County, so I'm sure that counts.
gotcha. Well, I'm sure Ty Malone will have an issue because he wasn't able to show up in your van and observe the meeting.
Maybe. If I get out to poach a deer off the side of the road, I do have a bow in the back.
There you go.
Might disappear for that.
Where are you at now, Kevin?
South Wales.
Oh, okay.
Just got off the 400.
You're a ways out.
I'm watching out your side windows to try to see where you're at. So,
Oh, yeah. Just past that little mini mart as you get off the 400.
okay. So we've got all you up on the big screen here in 119. Tiffany's in the room.
I think
Huh?
we're live right now.
We are live on
Yeah, it says 5 watching on the.
yeah, we are live on YouTube. So,
That's fine.
okay. Now, what we might have to do, so we're not walking all over each other, is everybody mute themselves except the one who's talking. So we'll see if we get any feedback. You know, we'll see what happens here. So,
We'll have to see how to do that. Mhm.
so we've got,
I don't know if you guys are on like Ed, are you on an iPad or like?
I'm on a laptop.
Okay, so you can like switch it to what do they call it? Like
Yeah,
tile. Like because if you watch it where whoever's talking will pop up on the screen.
Okay.
And that's disorienting, but so I have it. It looks like the Brady Bunch, right? Like there's windows for everybody.
yeah,
I
and then as you start to talk on the, you'll see it's outlined, your screen
Yes.
is outlined in yellow. So,
Correct.
Right. I just found that, Paul. On an Android, you just swipe left or right to the different options to switch to the Brady Bunch.
Okay.
you can go to speaker view.
Oh, wow.
Like mine the way it is.
Yeah,
If I hit something, I'll lose you.
yeah, I just
Sure.
did something too here. All right. Gallery view. Okay, is anybody else? Who we waiting on? Linda, John, and
Dave.
Dave probably will not be joining us. He's John Crawford. Just okay. John's coming in. Dave is resting comfortably at home. He had a procedure today.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
Did you see it a vasectomy?
Oh, God.
We're live on YouTube, Kevin. So
Oh, that's all I heard. I'm sorry.
we don't want to get into any HIPAA stuff. So
John's got his Captain and Coke out.
okay, we have We got John on now, and then Linda. You'll have to unmute yourself, Linda. You'll have to unmute yourself.
That better?
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
This is gonna be interesting.
Okay, so
They do look like a gray bunch now. They're gonna have-
Hey, John, how does that telescope work in your basement like that?
Who's the car?
It's just for looks.
Ah, gotcha. It's
So are
actually-
these glasses.
That's fine. I get it. I don't judge.
okay, so who we waiting on?
Bob Rang is in the waiting room.
Bob Ring?
I don't know who else. That's all the aldermen.
Okay, Bob Ring is in.
Why does this keep coming up? Someone in a car.
Hey. Hi, Bob. You'll have to unmute yourself, Bob.
Hey, everybody.
There you go.
I like the side profile of Jason Panis.
Okay,
You're
so
my
we have
couple.
two
Bob
in the
Ring,
car, huh?
Coming to us from
Those are city roads that Jason's running over that's turning on his mic.
County
Thanks, Bob.
roads.
Oh,
So Kevin, where are you headed?
well, I'm just passing what used to be the milestone. And look, a
Okay.
speed trap. This caught me a trooper. That'd be great to get pulled over on camera.
It would. It would.
Go a little faster.
Did we lose John?
Oh, hi, Ed.
Hi, Linda.
So let's see, is Vern on yet?
Vern is here.
Okay.
Did we lose Crawford?
I don't know.
We did.
Nick the server's in the waiting room. I just let Nick in. So where do I?
Hi, Your Honor.
In the basement of Union Whiskey. There you
The ba-
go. Is that Kevin Bartholomew? Oh, wait, no, that's Nick. I'm sorry.
Ouch.
Well, do we want to wait for John? Give him a couple minutes to try to get back in.
John said he had to reboot his computer.
Oh, okay.
All right, I did something here. All right,
This
there
is-
we go.
This is this is
Nick,
public.
you're in. You may have to unmute yourself, Nick.
How's that?
Yep.
Can you
Better.
hear me now?
Yeah,
we can hear you from whatever place ISIS is holding you.
He's in the back of Kevin's van.
Whatever basement you're held captive.
Yes, I'm in the back of Kevin's van. I'm bound. I'm bound in the back of Kevin's van. His white van.
It looks like it.
I do have all the remnants of the candy from Halloween.
So
Okay,
we're
we
just waiting
got,
for John to reboot.
okay, so we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There'll be 10 people when John reboots, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And Dave won't be here, so we're set. We'll just wait for John.
Jason, where is he? He's on the meeting, so you can,
Well, I mean,
he's a host, he's another host.
I have 11 people total, including Jason.
Okay,
12. So,
all
yeah,
right.
that's right.
At 5:30, I'm going to hit record, so we will start to record the meeting. It is live right now on YouTube. The link has been sent out by the IT department on our social media sites for people to view it.
Okay.
Here's John. John's coming back in now. Jason Panis, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just muting in case I'm making noise.
Okay. Okay, is
It's
your
just
video up or? John's back. Okay, John, you here?
Yeah, I was having some streaming issues and I had to reboot, so everything's good now.
Okay. So
Okay.
I got 5:29 right now. So we will start the meeting in 1 minute.
Okay. Let me know when you hit record.
Okay. I have hit record. It's 5:30.
Okay. I'll call the meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order and let the record show all aldermen are in attendance except for Dave Anastasia. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of, let's see, October 6th, Tuesday. I'll have a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unfinished business. PL 61-20 by Alderman Crawford to amend the City of Olean Code of Ordinance, Chapter 12, Housing Code, to include Article 6, short-term rental registration and licensing. John?
Thank you, Linda. All right, so last time, maybe a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the need for some regulation on short-term rentals, also known as Airbnbs and VRBOs, those types of entities that are now popping up in residential neighborhoods. Not in a huge abundance, but I think we counted maybe around 10 or more. What's interesting is, Paul, did you get any complaints this past weekend?
As a matter of fact, I did. So one of the, John, like you said, we talked about this back in February, and then COVID kind of hit, and it kind of got put on the back burner. And then there's been a lingering, not a lingering, but an emerging concern on York Street. There's a house that is, the owners have moved away, and they're putting it up on VRBO and Airbnb, and we've seen progressively worse and worse, short-term tenants come to that property. It was a few weeks ago they were noisy, and then it kind of, it's been on and off, but it really kind of hit a tipping point this past weekend. And there was well over 100 individuals at this house. They were loud. They were screaming until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. There was 50 cars up and down York Street, all the way up Monroe Terrace, all the way on both Ohio's. I mean, it was, I don't use this term lightly because I'm a Bonnet grad, but it was Allegheny-like, right? Like spring weekend Allegheny-like. Obviously it's a pretty significant problem, and this was something that was already in the works. You and I, John, had talked about this, about kind of rekindling this talks to possibly try to put some controls in place. And to me, this is just further evidence that we need something. So.
So Paul, what you're saying is someone can get a short-term rental and just have parties.
Correct.
Is that,
Correct.
football party?
We used to do that in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's exactly what it appears to have happened here, Linda, is, I think, John, wasn't it Halloween night? My weekend was a bit of a blur. It was
Yeah,
Saturday
yeah.
night.
I believe it
And-
was Saturday night, Paul.
Yeah.
It was Friday.
Oh,
Was it
Friday.
Friday?
I
Okay.
think it was Friday,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong.
Like I said,
Doesn't
my
matter.
was I had a long week. Anyway, but it was a Halloween party basically, right? And I don't think there were Bonna students. I've heard some dialogue from people in my neighborhood that that they weren't Bonna students per se, but I don't want to label it like, well, it was the Ellicottville crowd, right? But it was like slightly older, but not quite like, it wasn't an old crowd of individuals, but it was pretty rowdy. So uncharacteristically rowdy for the neighborhood.
So, I want to thank you. Thanks, Paul, because one of the neighbors reached out to me and knew that I was, we had been working on this legislation. And I said, this is exactly this is the reason why we want to regulate short-term rental units in residential neighborhoods. Because now, could that happen at any person who owns a home or rents a home? Could anybody throw a party like that? Absolutely. But you're more apt to probably have a place like that. It's a very large home to hold parties. So you don't have to hold it at your own house. Go into somebody else's neighborhood, throw a party during a health pandemic, have 100+ people there, and let some other neighborhood worry about it, and everybody just pack up and go home at the end of the day. I guess the lack of responsibility, if maybe that's the phrase, I don't know if that's right or not, but I'd have to look my neighbors in the eye if I did that, and then the next day, I still live there. I'd have to look my neighbors in the eye and try to justify or explain myself. This is just a slippery slope, and we all pay property taxes. We all want nice neighborhoods. And I'm not saying that this is bad for Olean. I'm just saying there needs to be some checks and balances in place to preserve our neighborhoods. And so I want to thank once again Captain Jennings and code enforcement for really helping to clean up and give a really good sound formula or format to this short-term rental regulation and policy. So Ed sent an update. There were some minor changes to it. I sent out a revised draft to everyone. Council. I'm sorry, it was 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock this afternoon. But again, it didn't change very much from the last time. So I sent you, I think maybe on Friday or Thursday, the entire draft. First of all, EJ, do you want to add anything at this time? We've all, at least everyone should have read the draft. Do you want to add anything at this time?
I don't believe so. Just to clarify my changes, on the first page was just the 2020 property maintenance code instead of the residential. And then there was some verbiage on the back that didn't need to be there that we're going to exclude. And then my only other question was whether it wants to be approved by the code enforcement office or the planning board. And the one thing with the planning board, you said site plan or special use permit, which I don't think you can go that direction because that has time limitations on it for expiration. So they expire in 6 months and then they have to come back every time. So that wouldn't be the good thing. I would go a site plan review for the planning board if you want that to, or just let the code enforcement office do it, one or the other. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much, Captain Jennings. So the gist of, an update from the last time we talked about it, it requires an initial site plan review. It requires a permit or a license, I should say, for a short-term rental use within the city of Olean. Part of that is they have to provide proof of hazard insurance. And additionally, it does stipulate that these properties are excluded from R1s, R2s, and R3s, which is like EJ did a great job really getting down into the nitty gritty to make sure from a legal standpoint, it spells out, these properties must meet the safety qualifications and have an inspection the same way rental properties need an inspection, what the fee structure is and all of that. Really what we have to try to, unless there are other questions, what we have to try to figure out is, do we just say code enforcement has the ability to authorize these properties in an R1, R2, or R3, or should there be another forum like the planning board or the zoning board? And that's where I get murky, and that's why I asked Nick to be here tonight to present essentially a place where the neighbors, the residents who live there, and I'm not saying, by no means am I suggesting that code enforcement wouldn't do their due diligence, but I'm just saying the number one complaint I get from residents is they don't get a say in something when something pops up in their neighborhood. So what this, some forum that would allow the residents around them, around this proposed short-term rental, a place where they could come in and say, yes, you know what, that would really help boom our street or our neighborhood, or heck no, we don't want this anywhere, it's going to destroy our neighborhood. So I guess I would open it up to the council for comments, and then maybe Nick, you could give us some ideas. That would be appreciated.
Well, I have a thought on this. I was wondering if for the initial, when the people come forward with their initial application, if they would go through the planning board first. And I guess prior to doing that, they would go to code to make sure that their place was up to code. And maybe they would get something or some type of document to pass on planning board. Planning board can go ahead and proceed and decide whether or not they could do that in that region. And then from there, once those people come back for reapplication, maybe it just goes through code to ensure that the place is still up to standards. Because no one from the planning board will be able to do that. Only our code can do that part.
Okay. I have a question. The other thing, it's kind of coming off what Vern just said. If you have, say, a problem child, like the people on York Street, they've passed their inspection, they've got their license, and say there's more parties, there's more complaints. Is there any way that they can be held accountable or even fined? Yeah, because I think we're heading in the right direction to protect the neighborhood, but there has to be some responsibility on the people. As you said, John, these people don't live in town anymore, but they're renting this place out, and it doesn't sound like there's anybody around taking responsibility for it.
Well,
so how would that be addressed?
I would say that what about like Vernon's noise ordinance law should have stopped that party this weekend had that been in effect. I mean, if I rent Airbnb for 6 months and I decide to have a party on my birthday in the middle of my rental term,
Right.
And the party gets out of hand, that's where the noise ordinance would come in.
Well, and to clarify, to Kevin's point, Olean police did come. They were called. They did come. They did break up the party. And the owners have been contacted of this property, whatever they're called, the tenants, or not the tenants, the landlord. And they're mortified by this situation, and they are assuring us they've contacted the mayor, they've contacted myself, that this is not what they want for the neighborhood. And I'm not saying that this is unnecessary, because it absolutely is, but this is also a situation that I think is going to fix itself once these property owners are aware of what's happening at their rental unit.
Okay.
They're not. No, they don't want to make things bad over here with this situation, right? They want to fix this situation. So
Okay. So it was basically someone rented it and they had a party without getting it approved by the landlord.
correct. Which
Okay.
is not necessarily, not how it would work with Airbnb. They just rented it. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have to get approval for a party. They just had one, right? It's just
Right.
Like
is
the
that,
old days.
how
We
is
used
that
to go to DeSoto.
how is that preventable though, Paul? You know, I mean, how is that preventable? How the landlords say, oh, we promise this is never going to happen again. When you go through Airbnb, how is that going to be a preventable
Right.
in their mind?
I don't know.
We have penalties.
How do you, if there's somebody who owns a house and like, how do you prevent them from doing that? I don't know.
Socializing and having a party, right? That's
right. But I said at the end of the day, those people who own that house and they live there, they got to face their neighbors the next day. This is it's a bed and breakfast. It's not even a bed and breakfast, right? It's like a halfway house or whatever you want.
motel.
Yeah, it's a motel in a neighborhood. And yes, Kevin made the point of like the DeSoto Motel. Like people, they can have good intentions to rent it out to good people, but if you go through Airbnb, I can go on there tonight and I could rent a room tonight and go and do the same damn thing. They're in another state. How are they going to prevent that?
Yeah.
Sure. Right. Once the DeSoto's aware that somebody's having a party there, they used to shut it down. I mean, I'm assuming these landlords seem to do the same thing.
These people live in another state.
Well, I'm not saying that. I mean, the owners of the DeSoto don't have to live at the DeSoto. They could live in, 2 towns over.
Well,
I mean, it's not a fair comparison.
Few things.
Maybe we're getting into the weeds on this. EJ, could you comment on that? There is permit
Revocation. A few things here. Yes, on that permits though. There's under 1295, there's penalty and offenses. And under B, it's permit revocation. And it shows under, if you have 3 separate incidents and we have the right to revoke their permit. Seeing that they have to have a permit for this by law now, that would mean they could not be an Airbnb anymore. So they would have their opportunity to do that. So that's what that would do. One chance to answer Vernon's question about the planning board. If they went through a site plan review, initially the planning board would give them stipulations or any conditions. They would make it that day, so they wouldn't have to come back on a yearly basis. What we would do is an initial inspection after that planning board meeting if they got approved. And then that's what every year thereafter, we go back into that house or 6 months, whatever time frame we put on there, and charge them $60 for a re-inspect, just to make sure everything's according to what the planning board conditions were and meet the state building code.
So, Ed, can I just make a comment on that? So basically, if I understood you correctly, what happened this weekend on York Street, that would be essentially a strike one, right? Against that license to operate an Airbnb. Strike 3 or whatever limit we determine is the correct amount, regardless of the terms and conditions of Airbnb in that contract, their license would be revoked to operate, and they could be subject to fines and penalties for operating an illegal short-term rental unit in the city, correct?
I'm under the assumption, yes.
Nick,
that would be a Nick question.
Yeah, and I believe Airbnb has a section that deals with governmental regulations, and that if you have through the permitting process, you have to submit a copy of your permit or your license to them.
I would find it hard to believe that Airbnb didn't do everything up to and including just laying down the to local regulations, right? I mean,
Yeah, if you go onto their website, you can link right to the specific municipalities' regulations.
Yeah.
We don't have any regulations to link to, but there are other municipalities that have regulations that are on the books that any responsible, as Airbnb calls them, host, would have to abide by in order to get even listed on Airbnb.
Okay.
So if I can,
I don't know if that
continue for a second, just to kind of clear something up that's going through my mind. So we're talking about these guys getting strikes and us having the ability to revoke a permit. And I've read through it, but I haven't committed it to memory, but do we have verbiage in there that tells what we would have cause to call strike, so that if somebody did test this in court, they wouldn't be able to throw us out and say we can't revoke that permit.
Yeah, good question, Jason. There is under the permit revocation section here, it says that the city may revoke the short-term rental permit for any short-term rental which is the site of at least 3 separate incidences within a calendar year for violations of A, any provision of this ordinance, B, the city noise and nuisance ordinance, and C, any violation of the zoning ordinance or any permit or approval issued pursuant to the zoning ordinance. So any zoning violations, noise, nuisance, or violations, or anything specific within this ordinance. Is that right, Ed?
That is correct. And we also have a fine fee that we can go after them. It's $250 for the first offense, and then it could be up to $1,000 for every offense thereafter. But all those provisions would give us a lot of latitude to issue them a citation.
Good.
So
Now, would there be any confusion involved when an agent does get involved in these things? Because I could see that happening a lot, right? Where you have some kind of property maintenance organization involved in things you own so that the owners really don't get involved. Would we find them, or would we go to the owner all the time? Is that clear?
That's clear. That's where we have the property manager comes into play within 20 miles of the city of Olean. We don't have to go to the owner. We can go right to the property manager because Nick can correct me if I'm wrong, but if he signs on, he's just as good as the property owner. So we can issue him the citations.
For services.
Yeah,
They're still billing the property owner.
Right.
correct.
Nick,
Kevin, you're correct, Kevin. That is correct. We would, for the purposes of service, we get the property manager on the hook to accept service. Now, therefore, if the property owner doesn't show up and answer the charge themselves, you've served the property manager, we could proceed with a default proceeding against the owner at that.
Nick, do
Gotcha.
you have any follow-up on the, the direction that we would be better suited to go for approval of these in the R1s, R2s, and R3s? I mean, that's ultimately my major, concern is what is the, of the two alternatives.
Where does the neighborhood get to have their say?
Yes.
Right.
That's what everybody's concern is. And I guess there's a couple different ways we could look at it. The way that we have it set up now to go to the planning board could cause, in some circumstances, maybe some unneeded delay, or in all honesty, some confusion at times when they're reviewing these things. One of the thoughts that I had is perhaps that a prerequisite to issuing the permit is if we were to let codes handle it initially, like they do all of their things, where the code off makes a determination and then the person has the ability to appeal that determination, it might be more efficient for the office to have that happen. Now, you could also do it where you have they come in and apply for the PIT, but before codes can grant the permit, we still have to have them send out all the notices like we would for a zoning or a site plan review to the surrounding neighbors. And maybe you have a 15-day comment period for them to contact codes and, let objections be known. And then codes would take those objections into account when promulgating a rule or specific restriction for that particular permit. That might make it more in-house before sending everything to the planning board, just to send it to the planning board. I'm not sure how EJ feels about that or how streamlined that would be from his standpoint of view, but I think that we've got to, at least look at to make an initial determination of what they think needs to happen, whether they need to have it passed off or not. and balance that with the neighborhood being able to say, oh, wait a second, I want to have you hear what I have to say about this before we just go ahead and do it.
So that would allow codes to kind of run it without bogging down the planning board with all that, and still give the neighborhood a voice.
Well, right. It would shift some onus back to the neighborhood.
Right.
And say, we're letting you know that this guy has applied for a license for a Airbnb at this particular house. We want to hear your comment or concerns about this within this comment period. And if there are none, why wouldn't we just issue the license? If there
Right.
are some, then we've got to maybe make a determination that we're going to deny the license and let the applicant appeal it to the planning board to get the license.
There you go.
You know, there's
Makes
a
sense.
couple ways to do this without burdening down. And I listen, I like the planning board. Don't get me wrong. They do a lot. They do a good job. If we have a sudden onslaught of Airbnbs, is that going to be a situation where we're bogging these guys down from doing what their primary charge is? I don't think it will, but it's just something we got to consider.
And
So,
I'm fine with that logic, Nick, if we can create that verbiage that you just expressed, which is initially, notice goes out if Captain Jennings says that same process is acceptable and achievable, to send out a notice to the neighborhood saying, hey, Airbnb is being proposed at this address next door to you. We will have a 14-day comment period where you
Right.
respond to us. You respond to the codes office with comments. And if no one, then I feel like the due diligence has been met. If nobody responds, then okay, we can cross that off and say, well, you had your opportunity. But at the same time, if codes gets 3 or 4 or a handful of letters, then there should be the process of, okay, those cases get deferred to some board like the planning board.
So that kind of actually
Right.
sounds like what DPW does for curb cuts. Mine is like a hearing. If you apply for a curb cut, they mail all the neighbors within certain vicinity, and then they have the option to call the DPW office and rebuke or give their grievance of the issue. It's just, this would be from a code perspective.
Right. Well, actually, with curb cuts, I know when I received mine, I had to go to 6 neighbors and get them to sign a letter stating that they didn't have any objections to it. So you actually have to get a letter signed for the curb cut. So I don't see why that couldn't work the same way.
So here's before I lose you guys, I might actually pull over just so I don't hit that dead zone right away. But my only issue is that I don't also if we're going to create legislation, I also don't like to hinder any property owner, regardless if it's for business purposes or not. My theory is so from a perspective of a politician, this is really great because the neighborhoods get to pinpoint, oh, hey, we don't want party houses in our neighborhood. We want to mitigate that at all costs. But if you were to go to all the neighbors and say, such and such landlord with a great reputation is renting the house, they would all say, yes, that's fine. But let's say Miss B, for example, is a landlord and nobody likes her and as a landlord. So they might all say no to that particular landlord. And I think at that point, from a constitutional standpoint,
Kevin, I agree with you, but that's why the process has to have some sort of appeal to a higher board to get a final determination. So I agree with you that if EJ gets a bunch of letters and says, I don't like this person because they don't shovel their sidewalk and I'm not going to let them have an Airbnb permit, that's something we've got to give the landowner who's proposing this an equal remedy to come before a body. Listen, this is all baloney.
Yeah.
And I think we've got, if we can get those 2 down, I think we got something.
Yep. I agree.
Captain Jennings, do you think that's feasible?
I think that's feasible. I think if things are straight up front and it meets all our criteria, I don't know why you want to bog down the planning board. However, if there is that period there and you have a 15-day waiting period and complaints come in, I mean, our office has been pretty good at taking in complaints and trying to play the middleman per se. But if we see there's an issue, I think Nick is exactly right. If we want to reject it, saying we're going to reject this for site plan review through the planning board, and those particular problems can go right to the planning board, and they can hear the thing because they have a very good board
And that could
and
be
more
their
so
appeal
than just
process.
us. That's a better process than ours.
Right.
I'm fine with that as long as some notification is given to residents and they have 15 days to comment. And any problematic, there's an appeals process. So you're saying, Nick, there's an appeals process on both sides. One, if they get revoked and the potential landlord can go to the, get appeal to the higher body. And then secondary is the neighbors. If it gets approved, the neighbors would have an appeal process to go to the higher body as well.
I think that we can put that in. One of the things we just got to be careful about is, are we going to reopen it up to objections, or are we limiting it to those people that objected originally? So if I've, if I send my letter of objection in and I'm not satisfied with the conditions that EJ put on the Airbnb license, then I appeal it to the planning board. If I didn't do anything about it and just decided at the last minute that it got passed and everything's all set to open and I object to it, how are we setting the cutoff on when you can object or when your time period to object is no longer valid? I guess that'd be the only thing that we'd have to sort through, but I don't think it's a huge impediment. We can just figure out a procedure for that and codify it.
Or you have a neighbor that really just hates you, just for whatever reason, hates you, does not want you to have an Airbnb, doesn't want you in their neighborhood, even just to live there privately. I mean, you get that sometimes. You get that. We had the Forest Hills. No matter what way you presented that project, the neighbors weren't going to have it. And you might just have one neighbor like that just keeps dragging the process on and on and on.
Well,
or you know what, John, let me expand this a little bit more. What if you had you had it so that they apply the codes puts whatever conditions they're going to put on it within their authority to regulate. Then they send that notice out to the neighbors so that they know what these regulations are being put ahead of time. So then all they can really object to is the granting of the license based on EJ's conditions. Whether they wanted more conditions or they don't want it at all would be flushed out at the next level.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I just, and I'm even fine with confining it to say, if you didn't speak up in the first 14 days or 15-day period, that's your time to speak now or forever hold your peace, or whatever you want to say. That only those who issued complaints or to the appeals to the board of the code of I'm sorry, I can't think.
Code office.
Yeah, the code office are the only ones that can take it to an appeals process. I'm fine with that too. I just know how this gets played out, and it's going to be why weren't we informed? That's how it's going.
Was the hearing fair?
Well, if I may, I'm listening here, and I think you're starting to make this a little more complicated than it is. I think we have a process right now. We have the planning board. I don't believe it's going to bog down the planning board, but I think it should go to the planning board. Let them vet it out. They have the process there of doing it. They contact the neighbors, and everything goes to the planning board. And there's an appeal process through the planning board. So I think that's the way to go. I mean, let's not make it let's not make it so complicated.
Hey, EJ, can I ask you a question? When a neighborhood is when a request to the planning board triggers notification to surrounding properties, right?
Yes.
What is the criteria for who gets notified and who doesn't?
Depending on the process, if it's just a special use, I think it's adjoining properties. If it's a use variance of any kind, it's within 250 feet, I believe,
Okay.
of that any part of your property line.
Okay. So
And
250 feet, that could be what? A block or two? I mean,
yeah, not that far, really.
okay.
It's a couple houses on each side.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Bill, I tend to agree with the mayor on this, and I understand there's concerns that there might be an initial wave as the existing 10 or 15 of these would have to undergo this new process. But after that initial 10 or 15 of the short-term rentals are finalized and go through the process, then, I mean, I don't know, maybe every 3 months, if that. I mean, I don't know. Bill, you would know better about the what the planning board can do and can't do. But I mean, that was my initial thought, and I'm fine. I would be fine with that. I'll defer to what the council and what you guys think. I just want to make sure that residents neighbors have a say in where these things go. That's all I care about.
With the planning board, that's probably the best way that the neighborhood is gonna have the say.
Agreed.
So Nick and EJ, is it possible to work that into this legislation then?
The planning board?
Yes.
Yeah, we're almost proceeding with what we originally had proposed. We're just not going to make it a special use. We're going to make it subject to site plan review from the planning board.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So
That's why
go ahead.
Just so you know, John, we just lost Kevin. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
For what it's worth.
So.
And then we would not need to amend the zoning law either.
Okay.
Right.
So with the draft that I sent out, Nick, and I don't see Tiffany on here, do I have to make any motions on this? If we know, like, as it's currently written, with all the main amendment is that it goes through the planning board process. Do I need to make any motions?
Tiffany is here in 119 with me.
Oh, okay.
She is listening to everything and taking the notes and doing what she does.
Okay.
Do we need to make any motions at this time? Either Nick or
So I
Tiffany?
prefer the PL. Yeah, the PL that you have is in committee. Maybe you just want to refer it to committee of the whole for the next council meeting so that we have those revisions put into it.
Okay.
So that you can then refer it directly to the meeting that night for approval or for vote.
Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead. So I'll make a motion to.
So just make a motion to. Yeah, motion to refer it out as amended.
Motion to refer it out as amendment to the next committee of the whole, correct?
Seconded.
Correct.
Okay, so Paul, do you second it?
Yeah, John made the motion. I'll second it. Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll move that to the committee of the whole as amended. Okay. So Tiffany, do we have to do anything more or that's settled?
That's all set in that one.
Okay. New referrals for consideration. Is Kevin back on? Does anybody know?
He's not yet.
Okay. Because his is up next. It's committee, let's see, to amend the City of Olean's Code of Ordinance, Section 24-134 to prohibit parking on a portion of the east side of the 300 block of North 3rd Street. I don't think he's there.
I'm kind of back. You guys see me?
Okay. We don't see you, but we can hear you.
They can bear, yeah, now we can see you.
All right, I'm just about to get to Kent Farm, so I should be back in service.
Okay.
Um,
I just,
so, as previously discussed,
are you on hold?
I think he fell asleep at the wheel.
I think he froze.
and then just run the gamut with it. So I'll probably be voting in favor of it on behalf of the constituent. But
That's a great point. Yeah.
Okay, we missed the whole front section of your remarks there, Kevin.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's all right. We usually tune you up.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to, so I just want to, I know based on the remarks of the DPW director and the police chief that they recommended that it was unnecessary. So I just wanted to run the PEL through and get its due diligence and due process.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So Kevin, can you repeat? Did I miss that? What was the suggestion by the police chief and the DPW director?
That the line of sight was not blocked on the northern side of the driveway, but on the southern side, it could have been adjusted without minimizing a parking space, but it still, the line of sight was even less blocked on that, is what I remember from our discussions and their comments.
So ultimately, were they not in favor of doing this?
They thought it was unnecessary and did not pose a line of sight problem.
I understand.
Okay.
So, and I got the vibe from the council that they were going to go with the recommendation and it was going to be a dead PL, but I wanted to at least give the constituent day in the sun.
Okay. So do we want to move this to, hello?
I'd like to make a motion to move it to the common council meeting for a vote.
Okay. Committee
Or
of the whole.
I guess, yeah. Or then at this point, it could die in committee here, or it could die on the floor. Doesn't matter to me.
So Kevin's making the motion right now, and if the will of the council is that we do not want to proceed it, then no second would be heard, correct? I'm just spelling that for everybody who might not understand that.
Going once? Going twice? Okay, so I think the will of the council is that it dies here and it's not going to move on.
Fair enough.
Okay. Okay, next PL 68-20 by Witt to amend the City of Ordinance Section 24-81 to include a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on a portion of Main Street and Hamilton Avenue while school is in session. Now, I think Bob is there.
Bob, you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Don't sound so
just
enthusiastic.
so Bob, if you just want to clarify, basically that's the state regulations, right?
Yeah, I think Nick put together the two PLs for this. I took the design to him and you all had a chance to review it as well. And I think this is the way that the attorney's office decided that it should go into resolution. At least that's what I think.
That's correct.
Okay. And just so you all know,
Is
we
that
had
right?
this by Boardmanville itself was open, so it won't be anything new to the neighborhood. I'm sure there are going to be some people that have to get used to it again. So I'm sure we'll be seeing a few tickets. But I think if we just publicize it and let people know, it's a school, you know, there's 85 kids there. There's several kids that walk. There's 60 staff members. So basically it is a school again. So does anybody have any questions?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, I'll make a motion to send this on to committee of the whole.
A second.
Second.
Okay, who seconded?
John did.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it moves on. Next PL. Let's see, I'm sorry, but I didn't put this in large print, so I really have to look at it. 69-20 by Witt to authorize the installation of school zone speed reduction and pedestrian crossing signs on Main Street and Hamilton Avenue in the vicinity of the Boardmanville School Building. Again, this goes with the last PL for the school. Bob, is there anything you want to add?
No, unless you all have any other questions, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, so I'll make a motion to move this forward. Can I have a second?
So seconded.
Okay, Doherty, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that moves on to committee of the whole. Approval of committee reports. Tiffany, do we have any?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we do. I'm sorry. I didn't know if you could hear me.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the committee reports.
Okay, I have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns for public safety? And the committee reports, any questions on those?
Is this the only thing for tonight?
Yes.
Okay, so before we adjourn, Bill or anybody else, anything?
Don't forget to vote. I'm on my way to do that now,
Thank you,
actually.
Tom.
We voted.
We do, I have just one item and you could say it's from public safety. We have the tree committee that was formed and I need 2 aldermen to serve on it. Vern, this is one that will probably meet in later afternoon. And that ward was always on it. And I believe Ward 7 was on it too, so I can ask David. So Bob, who do we have on it right now? Of the aldermen?
Well, Paul's a ex aficionado member as council president, and then 2 other council members, Sue Cooper, and myself, and the mayor. And Marcia, I don't know her last name.
Yeah, Marcia, I can't think of it either, but
Marcia Kemp.
no,
Is it Brady? Marsha Brady?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
By any chance, do you know what time these meetings are?
We'll set them up for later in the afternoon. They're not a specific. We'll set them up for later in the afternoon. This is the board that'll hear the grievances from people about their trees.
Okay, not a problem.
And you only really meet what, like once a quarter, Bill? Like every 3
Yeah.
months,
Yeah,
right?
we only meet, yeah.
I know Ward 6 was always on it because Nate Smith loves trees.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? I just had one complaint, well, actually 2 complaints from constituents. They brought up First Street and Buffalo, where you go towards the middle school, that a lot of people seem to be going straight there instead of the right turn only. And they just wanted us to be aware of that.
The same holds true for 7th Street down by the middle school. I've gone that way a couple of times and I noticed that people are going left when the
Yep.
sign clearly says turn right.
Right. The one woman that I talked to, the one gentleman was driving a truck and he pulled right out in front of her. And she thought maybe we had changed it, but she noticed that it hadn't been changed. So hopefully we can nip it in the bud before it gets to be too much.
It had changed. We removed the sign, but did not changed the code during the construction of North Union Street, and a constituent of mine about a year ago brought it up, and I believe Bob put it back in because originally it was in the code, and so the sign was missing for a period of time. I think
Yeah,
that
the
made where the
sign's there now.
Yeah, I know.
I'll ask the police chief to get some enforcement at those locations. So
Okay, great. Anybody else have any concerns or comments? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
And I will,
Okay. Who seconded?
John Crawford.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Aye.
guys, have a great week. See you next Tuesday.
Good luck, Linda. Good luck.
Thank
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck, Nick.
Good luck, John.
Good
Goodbye.
night, Mama Sue.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck,
Linda,
Joe.
Good luck.
Good night, Bill Bob.
Good night.
this is the Brady Bunch. The Waltons, it sounds like.
Bill remembers when that was new.
Good night.
All right. Okay, I don't know how to save the recording here. So let's see what we're gonna do.
Don't screw it up, Bill.
I'm trying not to.
Where's Jason Wells?
Well, I just, yeah, I gotta get him. Okay.
Oh, man, I wish somebody had a bump sign there so I saw that bump coming in on 16 North.